Hello, this is Leslie, and I am the host of the Why Not Today podcast. And this is a podcast to celebrate people who have been courageous and said, why not today? I started this podcast in honor of my father, Patrick Kane, who often did say, why not today? I am based in Reston, Virginia, a planned community right outside of Washington, D.C. And thanks for joining us today. So I'm really excited. My guest today, we're in person.
Yay!
Yay! It's even more fun.
Yes.
Before we start, though, I always like to introduce my guest and kind of how we met. So this is JBohnbiSHOP.
Yeah, hi.
And Jessica, or JBohn.
Yep.
We met, honestly, because I was stalking you.
Were you really? You never told me that.
Oh, yeah. I went, so we are at Smith Mountain Lake, which I'm here often, and I saw you on Facebook, and you were just marketing like crazy and sharing a lot, and I'm like, who is this chick? And so you were having something at your house, a holiday thing, and so you had an ornament I wanted to get as a gift for somebody, and I went there. Of course, they were all sold out.
They were.
So reached out to you afterwards, and you ordered one for me. We met for coffee, fell in love with you, and just have followed you and just your journey and become great friends.
I'm glad you showed up at my house.
You just never know how you're going to connect. And the funny thing is, my friend Andy came with me, who was your neighbor, and she's like, I want to meet this person too. And you have connected me with so many people at the lake, and I'm so grateful for you and your friendship. So
I'm glad that you connected yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm excited to have you as our guest and talk about your courageous story. So before we get into all your courage and everything, introduce yourself. A fun fact about you nobody knows.
Okay.
So we can get to know you, and then we'll talk about courage.
All right. So I'm JbohnbiSHOP. My name is Jessica. I go by JBohn. It's a nickname since 7th grade, but it's also become the brand of my store. This is the name of my store, and as you can see, the cursive just kind of looks pretty together. So like the J and the B and the D. So JBohnbiSHOP Mercantile. I am the owner here at Smith Mountain Lake. I do have a brick and mortar. I have another location actually across the lake, but it has definitely taken a lot to get to this.
You know, and if people always think like, oh, look, you opened a store, you just, I had this idea and it all happened.
Right.
No, and there's ups and downs and goods and bads and everything between. So you're from this area?
I'm from this area. I've been here I will be 37 in January, so I've literally been here that whole time. That is, of course, when I went off to college for a couple of years.
Yeah. And it's changed a lot.
It has. I've watched it grow. The whole side of Westlake, I've literally watched that grow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And be built.
All right. So what's a fun fact about JBohn? Nobody knows.
Fun fact that most people don't realize is that actually my, I guess, past and my experiences have nothing to do with retail, with any of that, or I guess just the fact is that I have a master's in higher education.
I
wanted to be in the student affairs field, and it actually took me being an admissions counselor at the university I went to realize that I actually loved sharing things with people that I was passionate about, which was my school at the time. And so that degree was supposed to lead me to be on the other side of that, which was to cater to those students once they got to the school, and that just wasn't what.
Well, and what you learned is people skills that you need for a store.
Somebody came in and told me that I did share that with a customer, and they said, you're just teaching people how to shop.
Exactly.
I absolutely am.
Yep, that's what I do. Teach people how to take care of their skin.
That's right. Yep.
My degree is my master's is in finance. So master's in finance, and you're a Mary Kay
consultant. But it works,
and I'm
right?
like, I'm a smart businesswoman.
You got to be able to do your, total up your sales.
Exactly. Have that flexibility and run a business.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, what does courage mean to you?
Courage means to me, I thought a lot about this. Courage means to me doing something that obviously, you're scared of. Everybody knows that. But to me, it's setting boundaries. It is just kind of setting aside all insecurities of yourself, of anything, and not really worrying about what people think. And so a lot of what I know we're going to get into today really reflects that on me, because I spent so many years worrying about what other people thought or what was going to happen. And so courage is really literally just setting aside all of that and making your dreams happen.
Yeah. And that's so true. And that whole, what are the people think? And we judge, and we take advice. And this is what I've seen a lot. We take advice from people we don't even like.
Right.
And we listen to people that the girl from high school we didn't even like.
Or who aren't planning to do the things that you're planning to do.
And like, they've got small thinking. We have bigger thinkers.
Yep. Definitely big thinkers we are.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we connected immediately and love sharing ideas. And this podcast interview came about that when I was down at the lake last week, came in and hung out with you, and we're like, we need to do that.
Literally just need to pin it down.
All right. So courage. You've had a lot of courage. You've started this business. But let's go back to, I think before you started this, I think it was around the 2020, and life was hard for you.
Just to kind of, just giving y'all a brief little history about just, I had the degree to do higher education, and back in 2013, I decided then that I was made to work for myself. Like I just knew very early on that was just what I needed to do to be happy, and so that took a lot of courage in itself. And discipline. That's another thing, discipline.
Yeah, absolutely.
But with that being said, I was able to build an online community of people over the last 10 years. But then going back to 2020, the world shut down, and I was already connected to the community in the way of doing social media for folks. So post-COVID, I actually ended up starting the social media marketing company to help mentor and guide the local business owners and just small business owners like myself. And so throughout those 10 years, I've done things like Sell and Dot. That was, of course, my biggest and my longest journey with social selling. And so in 2020, we had gift shops around the lake, restaurants, you name it. They were trying to figure out how can we pretty much convert sales to online. And I remember sitting with a couple different business owners and just really talking over how do we bring this to be an online thing? Because 2020, like you've got all this inventory coming in, and
that was me.
How are you gonna sell it when you have no know-how of doing online?
Right.
And so what turned into just starting with a couple things, ended up spending the whole 2020 mentoring and just meeting folks at the coffee shop and giving them the advice that I had and just what I had learned since my being in this industry. So yeah, I forgot your question, Leslie.
So just how you got here, but there wasn't an easy,
so with the mercantile,
so you were such a happy, upbeat, fun personality, but it's not always that way.
It's not, and so that's where we were going with that one. Is that in 2020? So after I had done all of that, I had really extended out a lot of help to people. And granted, after 2021 started, they were paying me to do it because at that point I could no longer do it volunteer as much as I would have loved to. I kind of ran myself into a hole because I had that knowledge of online and social sharing and that sort of thing. Come June, I had mentored over 100 people, plus 4 workshops, not to mention all the social media accounts I was doing, right? So I was setting no boundaries. I wasn't taking care of myself. And it takes a lot of courage to say, hey, like, we need to change. Yeah. And so I actually ran myself into a hole and I became really depressed. I had been diagnosed with OCD, so had some mental health issues in 2020, started in early 2019.
Did you know about that before? Or?
Nope. Like I said, in 2019, something just wasn't right. Like I went to the doctor and didn't really actually get help until July of 2020. So fast forward a year after that, something was inside of me just depressed, didn't want to leave the house. You just mentioned I'm bubbly and, I don't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to get stressed. It wasn't. So I knew that I needed to make a change. And one of those changes was to say no to all the things that I've been taking on. But something inside of me, so I was still doing Sell and Dot at the time, which obviously is all online, minus when you do your own pop-ups and whatnot.
Which those of you who don't know what that is, it's another direct selling company that sells jewelry.
Sells jewelry. And so for me, I just had this gut feeling. It was one of those things, I was at the darkest time of my life, Leslie. Like, I think I told you this part. Like, I was at the darkest part of my life, but yet all I could think about was this. And when I say this, I don't even mean this store. I mean the mission of what we do. It wasn't even the same product line because we ended up launching JBohnbiSHOP Mercantile at the Chili Fest just a few months later, and it kind of looks completely different than this.
We might have to go through a little tour of the store when we're done.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Okay.
But we can share photos, whatever you want to do.
You can tell in the background we are in her store, and it's super cute.
But what we've evolved to is what the customers have wanted, right? So we didn't start out with clothes and shoes. We definitely had jewelry because that's my background, is mostly having jewelry and that sort of fashion. Home decor is also a big thing. When you come into the store now, you definitely get that experience, and you could kind of tell that I like to decorate. Like I got a lot going on there, but it was like I said, I'm at home and I'm like, that's all I wanted to put my time and effort towards when I was really sad and I was really down. don't even know that sad's the best way to describe it, but just not feeling like myself. But I knew that doing this, and what this means is, especially now as it's evolved into clothing, and as you know, with makeup, we are seriously just like helping women feel good about themselves. And that's what I love about this. When people walk through the store, how can we help you? You know, oh, I'm looking for an outfit for XYZ, and you're in and out.
Fun experience.
Yeah, we try to create a really good experience and really catering to just building those relationships with people. But that has brought me joy that I was lacking.
Right.
So
lots of things I heard you say.
Yeah. Okay.
Is, you know, one, that you realized there was a problem, which is
yes.
a good thing. That
yes.
And you got help.
I did.
And so many people, I mean, around the mental health issues are afraid to get help. And I think COVID, I hate to say that word, but magnified it and brought it out.
It did.
I don't think I was ever lonely in my life until COVID.
Right.
And I
had these
brought me here.
issues were definitely underlying before COVID, but COVID definitely made it stand out more.
And you were doing lots for a lot of people because you are a giver and you are a helper. And so you were doing a lot of things. And what I know for sure is we got to fill our own cup.
Yes.
And if we're not filling our own cup, you can't give to somebody else.
And I heard that all the time, but it was like in one ear and out the other. And I thought that I was filling my cup by doing things like, oh, let me take myself out to lunch. Those sort of things, that's so temporary.
Yeah, you got to fill your soul up.
Right.
And do the things. And some of the time, things that give us joy are the ones that are going to fill our cup.
That's right.
And when you're just doing stuff to check a box, it's not doing it. And you're helping everybody, which is great.
I can help them now. I'm still helping them, but in a totally different way that's bringing us both joy.
Right.
It's a mutually beneficial thing.
Exactly.
I had a friend once tell me, you know, you stop entering into so many agreements with people that aren't mutually beneficial. And I thought, gosh, that is a really good way to look at things. Because if it's not going to, you know, don't get me wrong, I still like to volunteer and I do that, but it brings me joy. But if you're going to do something that isn't bringing you the joy.
Well, and why volunteer for something where your heart's not in it?
That's right.
Like one of the things I help out a lot with is domestic violence.
Yes.
Because Mary Kay's aligned with that.
Right.
But also the confidence for women.
Yeah.
You know, they say on average a woman's self-esteem is highest at age 10.
Oh, wow.
Which just breaks my heart. So how can we empower women and make people feel better? And fill them up.
I understand that because I was 33 when I started going through this like mental health basically crisis, you know, and people have been telling me, oh, your 30s are going to be your best. And I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. I mean, 30s, I think 30s is like, they're hard.
A decade where you kind of are reevaluating. Where am I? What am I doing?
And it all depends on your, you know, you and I both don't have kids. And so that plays a lot into it. You know, if you've had children at that age, things might be going great. Right. But for me, it's just been kind of just like 23 was, also difficult.
And, you know, we're deciding where you want to go and what you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, so you created this amazing business, and it is not just a store.
Right.
It's not just
I definitely
a shop.
don't want it to be just
It is an
that.
experience.
Right.
And that's what you've created. And I love, like when I'm down here, I just come to see you and to experience it. When I walked in the door the other day, and you were getting ready to close, really, when I walked in. And there were several people here. You introduced
I'll never close on you. I'll always be here.
So you introduced me to somebody that wrote a devotional, which I'd had in my hands the other day, ended up buying it, which hopefully we will talk to Jessie on the podcast. There was a couple girls trying on clothes, and we were able to say, oh, that looks good. No, I don't know about that. And there was something, you know, you could have been all about the mighty dollar.
Right.
And there was a shirt that, what's her name, Lauren?
Yeah, no, Sarah. Sarah.
Sarah was looking at, and you're like, no, not today. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And you're like, think about it, but she wasn't comfortable in it.
Right.
Why? And I say this with Mary Kay. I don't want anybody to buy something and put them in their bathroom and never use it.
No.
I want you to wear it and be confident with it and be happy with it and love it.
And I try to make sure that when they leave here, if I can see them at the register with their wheel spin, and I know how I am, you know, I do want to buy everything, but you just simply can't. And if you're not going to wear it and it's not making you happy, and if it's really making you sick to think about purchasing it, do not buy it.
Yeah, and then you're going to, every time you put it on, go, oh,
that's right.
I had to hide this from my
husband.
husband.
My business will be just fine if you don't make that purchase.
Exactly.
I want you to come back and buy things that you love.
Yep. So you evolved from online selling to a store. I know you have one in a marina. You have another pop-up, and then you opened this store, which is probably took some courage.
It did. It was
an investment in putting yourself out there.
It was a big decision because for me, pre-COVID, you know, and with Still and Dot, you know, I earned a lot of those trips. I was always traveling. We still like to travel, but the concept of having a brick and mortar, and probably also at the time in my life, I didn't have anybody that I knew was going to be the perfect fit to run this store when I'm not here.
Right.
It's one of the biggest things is having your business not need you as much or need you
And
all the
get that
time,
support.
so you can have time for yourself. But pre-COVID, those things just weren't lined up. And so in my head, I thought I never will have a store. That was not the mission. Again, this did not start with the same product line at all. It was a lot more manageable. This was hard to manage, but I loved it. But yeah, so I ended up doing it because I said, now that I'm in a place where if I need to go on vacation, and I do need to go on vacation, we all do, I can, and things still run smooth. And so, we've kind of progressed from all of that to now we still have the online portion, which is doing very well, and we hope to continue to grow it. But in order for me to continue to grow, I'm bringing my mom on. So she's going to become the mercantile manager. Now she's the mercantile mama, but she's going to be the mercantile manager.
Yeah, is she retiring?
She's retiring. She's not super close to retirement, but I am retiring her to work with me.
Yeah. That's it. You got to have a strong team behind you.
Right.
And I know we talked one day, I don't remember where we were, but we talked about getting help.
Yeah.
And being able to delegate.
That's
and,
right.
We can't work all night, every night. And
there's
nothing to give back.
That's right. It's not good for your mental health. And, going back to seeking help for mental issues, there's a huge stigma, as we all know. And that's one of the things that I've tried to voice and be very transparent with on Facebook, especially in Instagram, because I do realize I've got an audience of people who are looking. Maybe they're not common, but they're watching. And so when I shared, what I was going through, people were coming out of the woodworks like, oh my gosh, 65-year-old man reached out. Like, that's huge.
Well, and I think that's the social media responsibility we have. And when we do have people following us and people paying attention to us, you never know who's watching.
That's right.
And it's not about the likes, it's not about the comments. There's people watching behind the scenes. I often wear, and I have it on today, a starfish necklace.
Yeah,
because I do. Do you know the story of the starfish?
I do not know that.
So there was a guy walking on the beach, and there were millions, thousands of starfish on the beach. And he's picking them up and throwing them in the water, and picks one up and throws it in the water. And this other person walks up and he goes, what are you doing? You're never going to make a difference. And he picked one up, threw it in the water, and said, I made a difference for that one.
Oh.
And so when you work with people and anything you do, you never know who's watching, who's paying attention. And when you are on social media, you have an audience. There's things I do that people are make comment and I have no idea you're watching.
Right.
People that are listening to the podcast, I do an inspirational post.
It takes courage to do a podcast, right? Like
it does.
Everything that we decide to share takes courage.
Yeah, when you share it with anybody, sitting here on camera with a friend, it takes courage. And I'm not perfect.
But I haven't been nervous at all. This has been great.
It's just a conversation.
It really is.
Always just share.
It is.
So let's go back to the store real quick.
Sure.
What I love about this is it is an experience. You walk in, you're greeted. Her dressing rooms, you guys, are almost as big as the store.
They are. They're pretty big.
We
did that for a reason, though. You know that, right? You know that.
Well, I know one is Charleston and one is Nashville.
Charleston and Savannah, so kind of the low country, and then Nashville. And the reason that we kept them so big, number one, is we already had to knock out 4 walls. We were like, what we've experienced in the past is that women love to come shop together, right? And whether it be mom, daughter, and baby, or a group of 4 to 5 women, that those dressing rooms will fit comfortably if you're willing to go in with your girlfriends. And these ladies are. They go in there together, and they're just in there cackling and laughing away and having the best time. So we were really able to do that. And then, of course, the flex room is the Nashville room that we use to serve on our buffet, like food when we're having events.
Because you do a lot of fun.
We do a lot of events.
Yeah.
A lot of food involved here because we love to eat.
So, and even if you walk in here by yourself, you create friends. I know one time I was shopping with a friend, and we were looking at something, and by the time we were done, we had a whole group of women. And you see something, you're like, I don't know about that, but somebody else tries it on, and you see another combination, you're like, I have to have that.
If the room is full here, I always try to make connections because even if I've just met that person, I try to listen to what they're saying and connect them with the person shopping beside them. And I've even had friends, one would walk out and I'd say, did y'all know each other before today? And they were like, no, we just met here. And I was like, and the way they were just interacting with each other, it just made me so happy.
I made 3 friends when I was in here the other day.
So I wanted to make sure you had met the author of the book you'd been looking at. And, I like to connect people, and I know you do too, but that's the biggest thing is just making sure that everybody knows everybody and like feels loved and
you
they want
do
to
a
feel
great
comfortable
job.
in the store.
And the other thing too I love about the dressing room, they're big, so you're not standing like this to a mirror,
right?
And I think I shared with you the other day, the clothing store, she goes, I don't know if they still do this, but they didn't have mirrors in the dressing room.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
you'd come out
that's
and
right.
somebody's like, oh, let's try this with it, let's try that, because we do want to be affirmed, and we do want to. I don't want to buy something.
We ask every lady that goes in, if you feel comfortable, be sure to come out and show us. We'd love to see it. And then we can really talk to them. And truthful, if it doesn't fit, we've got a lot of people right now that want to shop for clothes bigger than they really need to be wearing. So I have to tell them, you need to really size down and it'll show your figure. And they really appreciate that because, especially if mom's not with them or maybe mom's not around anymore.
And you don't know, you need somebody else to affirm us and to tell us, oh, that looks good. Or, no, girl, that's not the color. I interviewed somebody on this before that talked about fashion, and she would say, oh, bless that with somebody else. Like, if you have something in your closet that you don't like,
that's
be a blessing to somebody else.
Yep, that's right. I love it.
So, so you are a book or a store, but also online.
That's
right. Shop. I know a couple of my friends are shopping just because I told them about you.
Thank you. We do ship all over the U.S. So.
So we'll talk about the end, how people connect with you.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how would you encourage somebody else to be courageous?
How would I encourage someone else to be courageous?
To maybe get help, mental health help, if that's an issue, or to start a business, or just to do the scary things. How would you encourage somebody else?
All of above. I mean, gosh, sometimes it takes, for me, it's doing that brain dump of like, what's going on? Like, what is the number one thing that you want to focus on? And start there, because once you've done the one courageous thing, then it kind of keeps doing a snowball effect. And so, like, we spoke about opening the store. It took a lot of prayer and talking with my husband about, do we have time for this? It's a lot of time involved.
It's obviously going to affect your entire relationship, your entire family.
Exactly. So, just to be courageous is to, write it all down, get it out of your head. That's going to make you feel better, first off.
Oh, absolutely.
Then just tackle those issues one by one and just do it. Set aside all the insecurities. Like I said before, just don't worry about what other people think.
We're so bad at
Please
that.
Please stop, because I worry so much. And
then we take advice from the people we don't even like.
Exactly. And definitely don't do that. Yeah. Especially if, like I said, if they're not on a path to do anything related to what you want to do, those are the people who are never going to grow, because they're just trying to tell everybody else what to do or what's wrong and what's right.
Well, you've heard the story of the crabs, right?
No.
The crab pot?
No.
So you put crabs in a pot.
Yeah.
And the one tries to escape and the other one's pulling down. And one tries to escape and the other. So people are like that. They don't want to see you successful because they're scared to be successful.
I've got another similar story at a church group years ago when I was little. It was such a great lesson. The teacher had one person sit on top of a table, just sit on the table, and the other person is on the floor, and they're trying to pull them up. And how easy it was for the person that was already down to pull the person up, as opposed to the person pull them up. It's a lot harder to pull people up.
Yeah.
And so, I'm here to pull people up, though. I don't care how hard it is.
You do a good job of it, and you do a great job. And
thank you. You do too, Leslie.
Well, thank you. And that's why I love hanging out with
Me
you.
Too,
and it's been fun to have it in person.
Fun. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So people are probably wondering, how the heck do I get some of these cute fun things? It's a lot of pink, which brings
lots of pink.
Which I don't even have pink.
And I mean, I'm wearing black, which is a no-no in this store. I will say.
I know, but you have a pink hat.
I do have a pink hat. We did the black to be a little bit, and
pink
obviously same. But yeah, so what are we telling them? Where they can shop?
Where they can shop, how they can find you.
So it is just JbohnbiSHOP.com. Super simple. JbohnbiSHOP.com. They can look on there. And what I love about the local folks here is that we do a porch pickup or a in-store pickup. So, you can reserve something when you're in town and make sure you have it. And then you get to decide if you need to come in the store or not. And then we also, of course, ship, all over the United States. And then on social media, we love to have you be a part of our group, which is JbohnbiSHOP, which is so funny. Did I tell you that the other day? Think about it. Bishop, the last part of my name says shop. So, I went in and capitalized my group name to JbohnbiSHOP, JbohnbiSHOP Mercantile. That's just the group name. But then you also have my Facebook page and then my Instagram, which is also the
And we'll share all those links with everybody.
My name is a little crazy. A little long.
Everybody's like, what is it?
And it's not an exotic name. It's Jessica Bohn Bishop. People have always said they thought it was JBohn. I'm like,
Just basic.
just say Bohn.
Just a girl from the country.
That's right. Amen. That's right.
So if you're coming to Smith Mountain Lake, you got to come visit her.
Please
Or
come
go
see us.
online.
Yeah.
It's a good reason to come to Smith
Yeah,
Mountain Lake.
yeah.
I love coming
And
to
I'll
you.
say this, and Leslie mentioned it earlier, I've been here my whole life. Not only when you come in here, I mean, obviously we'd love for you to look around, but we are here to provide all the information you want, right? So if you need somewhere good to eat, we will tell you. If you need somewhere else to go shopping, we'll help you with that. We'll tell you about Roanoke and Lynchburg. Like we're kind of like a one-stop shop here.
You are a good referral. One of the places when I'm coming down here going through Danville is stopping at the Pod.
Yes. Oh gosh. Shout out to
there.
Kate at the Pod in
I always
Gretna.
stop there
Yes,
in between
that's
and
right.
the other day and always think of you. So yeah.
It's a good place.
Yeah.
I've been here long enough to know all the little back roads and all the in between.
I think I'm getting there.
Yes, you are. You're doing very good.
So we'll share in the show notes where to find Miss JBohn.
That's right.
We also have here. I have lots of Why Not Today
Super
swag.
cute
We've got cups. We have T-shirts. We have
my
vinyl.
second favorite color. This is,
Yeah. So we've got pink in this. We've got all different colors.
Yeah.
Also, looking at doing a journal. Talking about writing and brain dumping. I think they go hand in hand.
Journals are good. Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Oh, I forgot the other thing too is I always try to connect people back to my dad. How do I know my dad?
Right.
Well, and so I was trying with the conversation how we connect back. So I think for you, you're very much a part of the community. And my dad was a community planner and big with community. He actually started the chamber.
Okay, I remember you telling me that. That's amazing.
You were the one that encouraged me to join the chamber down here.
Yeah.
And so
any chamber people like in your community, join them. They're awesome.
Yeah, and I think you're also about community, just like you said. When you come in here, you're gonna first of all get to know people, figure out how you connect, which you did masterfully, and then you're gonna share where are the places to go, what are the things to do, and just make people feel important, which you do a great job.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Right back at you.
Well, it's been super fun.
Yes.
I love the conversation. I think
been great.
just sitting here, I'm thinking, oh, I might have to go do a little shopping.
Ooh, little private party.
My own private shopping event.
Yes.
All right, we can do that. So thanks again for sharing your story, and we'll share how everybody can get in touch with you. And remember, share this podcast with your friends, like it, comment, review it. That would be great. And remember, say, why not today?
Why not today?